Alright, so for our last assignment, we're going to be turning in our demo reel. So if you look at all of these assignments that we've had since we started this class about 15 or so weeks ago, 16 weeks ago, that's what we're going to have. So the easiest way to do this is to take all of your final projects and put them into one folder. I'm using still images for this just so this goes a bit quicker, but obviously you will use the actual finished movie, so your actual ball animation. We don't need the play blast, we just need the actual finished ball movie rendered out. Your poses, your character poses will be 3 stills, or if you put them into one still, then you'll just have 1. Your character animation, your fish animation, your mech animation, your mech rig, your stick animation, and your walk cycle. Okay, so you're just going to take all of these and you're just going to drop them into After Effects. There it goes. And then you're going to select them in order of creation. So you may need to deselect and then go through and make that bigger a little bit. And so our first one was the stick. Then I'm going to control click the ball, then control click the mech animation. That was the little building. Then we did the fish, then we did the mech rig, then we did our poses, then we did the walk cycle, and then we did the character animation. Okay, so I'm going to drag these onto the new comp button. We want a single comp. We can leave this as is. We'll adjust it in a second. Our still duration as 2 seconds is perfect. Sequence layers and hit OK. No overlap also. Okay. So I'm going to go up to my composition settings and set this to 960 by 540. Make sure this is square pixels, 30, a third, this, everything else should be good. So now we just need to come in and just scale everything to fit. Now some of these you may not have to scale. Our stick animation was rendered out at 960 by 540, so we shouldn't need to do that. The ball animation was rendered out at 960 by 540, so you shouldn't have to scale this one either. Okay, obviously unless you messed up and you didn't have it at that resolution, then that's a bad thing. But most of the stuff we rendered out was at 960 by 540. The only exceptions are those stills. We've rendered those out at a bit bigger. So buttons, we're gonna have to definitely scale those down. There we go. Okay, so you just keep scaling it down. Now if you get to the point where it's not fitting proportionately, so just so you can see this, let's say I rotated this and I'm trying to scale this down to fit, and you'll see that, you know, right here it fits, and as I scale it this way we're losing some of that space. What you want to do is fill it until it fills this entire area here. Okay, it's not cut out, it's not, you know, falling off of there. Then you can duplicate it and scale the bottom one up, and then just do a Gaussian blur on it. Okay, and then just crank the Gaussian blur really far up. That way you won't get any weird colorations behind it. Okay, and you would do that for each one of these. So if you had the same thing on the character pose 2, you would do the same thing on that one. You want to be consistent with what you're doing. Okay, so for all of mine, because they're already all the same size exactly, I don't need to worry about it. So I'm just going to set all these to 50 so they all fit within this. Okay, then I'm just going to go up to my file. I'm going to go to Export, Add to Render Queue. I'm going to go to Lossless. I'm going to go to QuickTime. My format is H.264. If I have any audio, I'll make sure it's set to Apple Lossless. And then for the name of this, I'm going to call it Sarcona underscore MACA 2540 underscore DemoReel underscore F16. So that's how I want you to name yours. Your last name underscore the name of the class underscore DemoReel underscore F16. And then hit render. Okay. Now, because mine are stills, it's going to go super quick. Yours is going to take a few minutes to do. But that's how you're going to make your final movie that you'll then turn in to the server, and then that will be your final assignment inside the class. And once you have that, then we're good.